your host, Nina Simone. Welcome to the first ever Create Student Awards podcast. 2025 marks a whole decade of the awards, so we're here to celebrate and honour the students, undergrads, postgraduates of Salford University from the Arts, Media and Creative Technology School. Today, we're going to catch up with a very special guest and previous winner, Timothy Cho. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
To be here.
Thank you so much for coming in. So you studied a BA Hons in International Relations and Politics, didn't you?
Yes.
You did, and you also won the Dean's Award in 2016, which is chosen by the Dean himself, Alan Walker. Have you ever met him?
I have.
Have you?
Well, I was invited to one of Dean's Award ceremony last year, actually, and it was great to be as a guest to watch, following students receive the award. And if I go back 10 years ago, it was me actually who I received, which I didn't expect, but it was very humbling awards, both Create and Dean's Awards, and it meant to me a lot. And it was encouraging me and also recognize your hard work, that you literally put your effort into your own study and own work, but someone next to you recognize the part of your hard work. I think this is quite amazing moment to realize, and yourself. Sometimes we know how much we work hard, but when it is someone comes to tell you, "Oh, you did that great," this literally encourages you more and more, thinking about, "Oh, there are people who are standing with me."
Yeah, because you can sometimes, when you're focusing on your own journey, it can be hard work, and for the recognition to come from outside, it's like, oh, people are going to take notice of this work, and it kind of motivates you to carry on. I felt the same. So if you were there last year, I would have been there as well. So yeah, you would have seen me get my award, Community Engagement Award, which I'll go into a little bit later.
Yeah.
But for now, you're sort of a human rights activist, spokesperson, and currently the Secretariat for the All-Party Parliamentary Group on North Korea. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means and what your career currently looks like?
So the work is involved in Parliament. So I'm the Secretariat, and I'm advising member of Parliament. We focus on situation in North Korea, this group. So Britain is one of 5 Security Council members, means we have a power in the within international scope. So we have a high veto or vote in certain making decisions. So North Korea is one of the countries continue pose threat to the peace and democratic values around the world. And one of the cases recently, they hacked over 1.5 cryptocurrencies, 1.5 billion cryptocurrencies. Now the country became third largest cryptocurrency equipped nation in the world. And imagine if this amount of stolen cryptocurrencies being made transaction, buying and selling weapons online. That is very dangerous. So there are listed from A to Z. We focus on human rights issues, women issues, and repatriation issues by Chinese authorities who often end up in prison camp in North Korea, tortured and executed. And such as illicit activities. So in many ways, this group takes role advising the government, and so bottom of that work, which I take that role as the secretariat and speak around universities, organizations, or time to time traveling outside Britain as well. So it keeps me busy, and also with my commitment speaking on their behalf, I am privileged to serve this role.
So I think what I'd like to dive into before we go on to how you ended up receiving your awards at the Create Student Awards, just a little bit about your backstory before you landed in the UK, because I've had a look at your LinkedIn and I know that you've had some real challenging times, and I'm assuming that's kind of shaped the work that you're now doing as opposed to being a dentist. So if you feel comfortable, could you tell us a little bit about what happened in North Korea and why you had to escape?
Yeah, time to time I do have to pinch myself to realize where I am and what kind of life I have today. It has been a very long journey and persevering, challenging, and suffering, and going through darkness and facing and death a few times. But one thing I did not know was that I never thought I was leaving my home country. And it was a part of life. And if I go back to my childhood, still it was an ordinary, normal life. Go to nursery, schools, back home, watching cartoons, spending time with friends. And my both parents were high school teachers. Their students often played with me. So I was the moment of surrounded by the love of all this environment. But one thing I did not realize, that I was already into that brainwashing education, that I was forcibly bound to worshipping the Kim family, and didn't realize also that opportunities were limited. I remember when I was 6, I asked my father, could I become a journalist? I thought if you become a journalist, you would be able to travel all around the world. I have a daughter now who is 6 years old. She asks me tons of questions, non-stop. But my father couldn't answer to my question. He was a high school teacher who was teaching history. I think it would have a painful moment for him when he got that question from me, because he knew what kind of society we were living in. It's complete information blockade in this country. You cannot get out. You're born without passport in this country, and you have to live within the country and lock down itself within towns and cities. You can't move even freely. And so that was my first question mark I had as I was growing up. But then when people started to escape the country, not it was their will, but the circumstances. Millions of people died of starvation in 1990s. And so my parents had to make a certain choice to escape the country to China. There were, it's happening in North Korea. There are no social media in this country. No anything outside content can be watched and heard. No internet phones. If any teenagers watch smuggled items of foreign films, dramas, they get execution in North Korea. And you cannot read any literature from foreign countries. And even toddlers being sent to prison camp. Prison camp is the same conditions what Hitler operated. It's because some cases of their parents' hidden religious materials, such as Bible, discovered, the whole family taken to prison camp. It's called enforced disappearance. Car arrives at your home, they take all the family away. We don't talk about it. It's very common in North Korea. Public execution often being held. When things crime made, they demonstrate to the public that don't follow like them. So my parents had to make very certain choice. If they didn't make that choice to escape, and our whole family would have been taken to prison camp, and which I wouldn't have the opportunity today also. So one day I came home, they were gone, they escaped. And although later I understood that they had no other choice, they make a difficult decision. But for a while, of course, you can imagine growing up without parents, you are being kept anger and hatred for a while. And which myself today, parents, I would also understand the part of the difficult decision they had to make. It was tough, while hundreds of thousands of children being on the street, and people died of starvation. And I was in part of that life, surviving. Even relatives would be struggle to equip any other extra families. So that was my pretty much childhood life. From age 10, I couldn't go to school because the regime told me that I was a son of a traitor, which I often describe a part of the systems in North Korea. You'd get discriminated against everything. As the result, I couldn't go to school from age 10, and was one of my desired favorite things was to learn. So I had to practice my Korean language on the floor with a wooden stick. I had no pen, no paper. And age 17, tried to go to join the army, which North Korea's army, you have to serve for 10 years. And some of them are in Russia today fighting against democratic people of Ukraine, very sadly. But it's not their will, they are forced to do. But I was rejected to join the army also because of my father betrayed the country. And I realized this country have no opportunity, no choice for me. Then I had to escape the country. It was very sad the day I was running away across the border to China. And because I would never made that decision if I didn't realize what kind of country I was living in. And after crossing the border to China and looking back, it brought me to tears. And I had that moment of thinking, how long would it take for me to go back to this place? And of course, I still exiled in the UK, and which I have a different story, of course, a better story, humanity, and a story of family, love, and activist. And there has been a lot of challenge and journey, suffering, darkness, and even death facing, and especially during my twice escape and imprisoned 4 times. 3 times it was in China, and 1 time was in North Korea when I was sent back to North Korea, where I saw tragedies and atrocities and torture and all these terrible things in front of my eyes. But again, I survived. And the part of achievement that I was able to have at Salford University, and it is a part of a human story as well. So that's why I am so happy and proud myself as well to be back in this studio. Especially now, Salford University have one of the great, BBC radio and TV channel equipment.
Yeah, we're getting there with the media,
Yeah.
aren't we? I'm really moved by your story, and it seems that you've always known that fighting for yourself and advocating, using your voice, even if you have to learn a whole new language to communicate that, has always been really important to you. Without sort of having the guidance from your parents, if they had to leave you at such a young age, how have you managed to keep pushing through and end up, getting yourself to get your degree at Salford University? What's been your driver?
I like that question, actually, really. I thought I was always an orphan, and I thought it was something coincidence I survived each time through the circumstances and difficult moments. But if you ask me, what was my motivation to come and overcome all these barriers and obstacles? I think it was love. And it took me a while to discover what is exactly love is about, what it means, why is it so powerful. Well, when I was on the street, I had friends, this man and woman next to me. We were family. We shared a piece of bread. We baked together. We were stealing food together. And later my grandmother, who looked after me, and during my escape, man and woman who were next to me. And during my first escape, there were 17 people with me who we were arrested at the Mongolian border. And all of us, all 18 of us, we were sent back to North Korea by Chinese authorities. And I'm the one only survived from this among 18 of us. But these 17 of them who I shared the difficult moment, including children, we encouraged each other. And during my second escape as well, one lady who was helping me cross the border. The water was deep, and it took us 2 hours. And we were holding plastic containers to try to float on the water. We could be killed. And again, I survived because of that lady. And second escape, and again arrested in Shanghai in China and was sent to Shanghai International Prison. And among them, there were 7 inmates, all from different countries. They were criminals, but these criminals were looking after me. Mm-hmm. And everyone going around buy extra items because they had a prison bank account and buying extra sweet bread, milk. And the day I was leaving the prison, when they find out that I was actually deported to the Philippines instead of back to North Korea, they celebrated my freedom. We had a party in a prison cell because you don't have even champagne, but we brought out all snacks and drinking milk as champagne. And they were banging the prison gate when I was leaving the prison cell. And again, arriving in the UK in 2008, all I had was one shirt I was wearing. But from that moment, a man and woman community, and they were there. So somehow we don't live by our own selves, and going through trauma and anger, hatred, the moment as well. People were next to me, praying for me, and especially my own religious Christian faith was helping me in that way, how to learn to forgive others, particularly during the difficult time when I thought I was abandoned, but it was not. And it's love, I have to say. And again, come to Salford University, the barrier was very high. During my first semester, I thought I wasn't able to overcome, I wasn't able to graduate, because all the new English vocabulary itself about studying politics and history, international relations, is one of the high levels of understanding the society, country, community, and nations. But the staff, of course, it was my own effort, requested. Mm-hmm. I have to put hours and hours staying in the library. If you ask me, I actually met even my wife in my university. But she was not studying politics, but she was studying finance and accounting. One thing I asked her, if you want to date with me, we have to do it in the library. So she literally...
That's where I live. I live in the library. You want to meet for coffee? That's cute. So you had a date in the library?
Yeah, she came to the library. And of course, because of that, she also was able to revise. And she got first grade. But at the same time, and I felt sorry later. So if you have a boyfriend dating in the library, it's not a good story, but it's also part of story of your effort, which I have in part. So I have to say, a man and woman, that was a kind of a miracle, performing miracle story to me, and where I am standing today. And even today I come here. Do you think as a human rights activist can do it on your own? No, I can't do it without your support at my university. Mm-hmm. And I did also my master's in Liverpool later, and I work with a number of my colleagues who's passionate and whose heart for humanity. I think this is the biggest resources of our humanity, including myself, why I can do this job.
Amazing. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the Creative Awards. Fast forward to 2016, when you won your award. How did it feel, first of all, to be nominated?
I did not expect, totally. I did not expect. And when I got this story of nomination from my personal tutor then, it was Dr. Christina Chiva, and I almost doubted. And to be honest, I was not the best student, if I could. And all I did, I worked hard. I worked really hard. Literally, I did not come out from the library, but I read tons of articles, books, but one thing what I recognized compared to my first ever essay I did during my first year university and my dissertation and my final essay when I was final year, it was very, very different. And the award came to me was a surprising gift. and something achieved from my hard work. But at the same time, I also felt this was what I needed to share with those who I suffered together.
Mm-hmm. And did you find the evening you were able to network and meet people? Is there anybody that stood out to you at the awards event? Did you meet anybody that you can recall?
Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the award evening, and my tutor received on my behalf because I had to make an urgent trip to South Korea. But the old teaching staff, they applaud. This was my first ever mega award, I have to say. And you can imagine where I come from and how I survived and come to receive this university award. Yeah, I think that was one of my biggest moments of my life. Even if I received what's a Nobel Peace Prize, I cannot compare with it.
So it was one of the first recognitions that you received. Do you think it helped boost your confidence, or, do you think it's played any role in where you decided to go afterwards?
It did certainly. But one thing, the award meant to me was that it also come to compare between democracy and totalitarian society. In North Korea, man like myself today, how much I have achieved through my own hard work and effort. If I did the same effort or even more I did in North Korea, I would never ever have been recognized who I could be, or my name never even appeared around. Often I express in this way, impossible story became possible. So this achievement and this award and also Create Award itself, it represent opportunity of democracy champions in many ways. Not just about Salford University, but it represent symbolic of a democratic country.
Right.
To me.
And what you're actually able to do here and what's available to you. And since then, you've done quite a lot more, haven't you? I'm not your first interview of the month. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing recently?
Yeah, well, just last week, I had the BBC World Religious Program interview, which will release in October. About they also follow the story how I overcome in many ways from the moment I arrived, and also how I escaped from that country. And also I did a Times Radio interview was about the situation in North Korea. When we look at the world around, a lot is going on. Wars, conflict, and millions of refugees, and including myself, come from refugee background. But these regimes, they are kicking out their own people. They continue to persecute and violate their human rights. People have no alternative choice than leaving the country, but the journey is not guaranteed whether they can even be killed during their own journey, like myself experienced. And when we talk about regimes like North Korea, when they threat our democratic and freedom values, now it's not only North Korea, we are talking about North Korea itself joined Putin's illegal war in Ukraine, and over 7 million Ukrainian people fled their home and beloved countries. So they're desperately waiting to go back their home. So it is talking about the context in here to North Korea, then come along with Russia, China, Iran, all other countries see. As I'm a spokesperson for Open Doors UK, the charity focused on persecuted people around the world. There are over 50 countries on the top list of persecution. And there are 380 million people are being persecuted simply for their religious faith. So that's the interview I did on Thames Radio, explaining about and how we continue to stand up together against darkness and persecution.
Is Christianity common in North Korea?
Well, it is one of the most dangerous religion in North Korea. Anyone who follow Christian materials or any other religious materials, their execution and persecution is inevitable and often end up prison camp or being executed publicly.
And what is the safest religion in North Korea?
Kim family.
Kim family.
They are God itself in this country.
Okay. I didn't know that, I see. So thank you for sharing. It's an amazing story, and I think since then you've obviously done quite a lot. What are your plans for the next couple of years? What are your goals?
I will continue utilize my role, what I can do, speak on these my brothers and sisters who cannot speak for themselves. I will speak on their behalf. At the same time, I think we are, in many ways, we have faced the challenges, even in Western societies, and our freedom is being threatened on a daily basis. So I will continue to educate our growing young generations what it means life without freedom and freedom values, such as freedom to believe, opportunity and speak, and expression. That is very basic human rights, the choice you and I can make, all growing up my children and that generation needed to have a better society than what we are facing, lots of issues today. So what I'm grateful you are interviewing me today is that not only Salford University alumni, but it is also about, and you are asking someone who escaped from one of the most darkest countries in the world, and there are millions of people suffering in this country and other parts of the world. That suffering never justifies. So Salford University itself equipped someone who suffered and has graduated from Salford University. I think the university must be very proud of what they are doing. And the job, not only me, but there are more people from around the world. They must continue focusing on democratic values, and the values how we cherish the education is very significant part. And I would be forever grateful and deeply to my Salford University, the education, what I had the opportunity and continue. I have this opportunity to come to our studio as well.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to be here as well. I am an English language student, and the Media City campus have kindly let me come into the journalism suites, and I do my podcast from here. I actually came off the back of my award, which was won last year. So I won the Community Engagement Award, which was being part of the community. And as much as my sort of story, there hasn't been as much struggle for me in terms of education and family life, but I was the first person in my family to go to uni, put myself out there and strive for higher education. I actually did that. I went back to Salford Uni when my son was about 1.5 years old. So he's 6 now, my son, as well. So he gets to come in. He does a little bit in here in the studio with me. But yeah, the Community Engagement Award really boosted my confidence because it showed me that there is recognition. And sometimes when you're doing community work, obviously it's not like a paid job. You're doing it out of the humanitarian values and you're giving something back to the community. So it was also my lecturer who nominated me, Dr. Hazel Price. And I was so surprised that A, to be nominated, and B, to actually win. I was lucky enough to actually go to the awards. I took my mum with me because Hazel couldn't make it. But yeah, it was such a beautiful event. The music was great. The food was amazing. You get welcome drinks. And I think this year, with it being the 10-year anniversary, it's going to be bigger, better than ever. So anybody who is going to the awards this year, you're going to have a beautiful time. So this year, the awards are going to be held on the 12th of June at the very beautiful Lowry Hotel. There will be previous winners, alumni, and lots of people to network with. So you can find out the winners of each award on the Instagram story, which is the handle at @UOS_Arts and Media. That brings us to the end of our very first episode of the Create Student Awards podcast. So, Timothy, thank you so much for joining me today. I've been your host, Nina Simone, and I very much look forward to seeing what your future holds.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your beautiful story. We all have our part of stories, and that story makes the history continue on, and you must be very proud what you are doing as well.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to do a little bit more. So thank you to the Create Student Awards for me and Timothy and all the winners to come. Good luck, everybody, and we will see you next time. Thank you for listening.